Good morning, everyone. Mike here. Got a great video for you guys today. So today's video, we are going to be on the maitake mushroom, the hen of the woods, the signorina, the sheep's head, the dancing mushroom, Grifola frondosa. Boy, I got all the names. So we're going to tell you where you can find the maitake mushroom, when you can find it, what it tastes like, ways you can identify the maitake mushroom, all these things. Let's get it. All right, so here's a maitake mushroom in an early stage of growth. I'm going to show you a few photos at different stages of growth just so you can see what the maitake kind of looks like. Here's another photo. This is one a little more grown up. You can see it's kind of got a few petals on it. It's kind of got a brownish, grayish color to it with a white underside. And here you can see it again. This is a larger specimen, a little bit older. You can see how it's right next to a tree right there. That's a key thing to take note of. And then look, there I am with a big maitake mushroom. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It'll really help the channel and keep content like this coming your way. All right, so that's the hen of the woods, the maitake mushroom. You can see many different shapes, sizes, and all sorts of stuff. And different names too. Boy, oh boy. Sheep's head, ram's head, maitake, signorina. What's all this stuff mean? So, maitake, okay, that is a Japanese name, I just want to say. It originated in Japan, and whenever people would find this mushroom, they were really happy and they would dance. So they would dance around the mushroom, and it got the name the dancing mushroom. Okay, so that is where the name maitake comes from. Signorina is Italian for unmarried woman. I actually don't know the origins of this. I just assume maybe the mushroom is good paired with something. So maybe that's the reason that they should be paired with something else. My guess. If someone knows, drop that in the comments below. That'd be a good one. And then we have ram's head, sheep's head, just because of the shape of it. I remember first time I was ever told this was by an older man at a farmer's market one time. He was telling me all these sheep's head mushrooms he had been finding, and they needed a wheelbarrow to get them out of the woods. And I didn't know what he was talking about at first, and I was like, hen of the woods, you mean? And then I looked into it because I was still new to mushrooms way back then, and he was like, oh, that's the sheep's head. But you can kind of tell the shape of the mushroom. It's got this weird like feather-like appearance to it. And if you've ever seen a sheep's head, they kind of got like curls to them and stuff. So it does. It kind of looks like a sheep's head or a ram's head. But those are just some of the cool little nicknames to the maitake mushroom. But right now, let's kind of talk about like where you can find it and when you can find it. All right, let's check it out. Okay, there's the maitake mushroom right there with a tree right behind it. And the maitake mushroom is a parasitic decomposer, so it will link up with a tree. Typically, large hardwood trees is where you will find maitake mushrooms. And there's a collaged photo. Look in the bottom left there, and you will see a tree behind the maitake I'm holding up. It was parasitizing that tree, that oak there in the picture. Okay, so you can see that maitake was right next to a tree. Now, that is because the maitake is a parasitic mushroom, so it will parasitize oak trees and hardwood trees, essentially. So that's a good way you can find it. Just kind of be in a hardwood forest or somewhere where you know where there's old oaks, and you're much more likely to find the maitake then. Now, as far as what time of year, now is the perfect time of year to find the maitake mushroom. Pretty much early September through early November or through fall is the good time of year to search for the maitake. And you just, like I said, you just kind of want to look for oak trees or old hardwood forests, and that will definitely increase the odds of you finding the maitake mushroom. Most of the time, it is going to be around the base of the tree, on the ground, but sometimes you can find them on like a log, decomposing log, but that is much more rare for sure. You're much more likely to find it growing on the ground around a large tree. But now that we kind of know where you can find the maitake mushroom and when you can find it, let's talk about some of the key identifying features. Okay, so some of the key identifying features will be that white pored cream colored underside. Remember, it is a polypore mushroom, so there's pores on the underside, no gills, and then it kind of has a grayish brownish top to it in a petal formation. Now here you can see I've got a bunch of pieces of maitake kind of just pushed together. I found these all around it in oak tree, And notice how the inside of it is pure white. It is a solid mushroom that has pure white flesh on the inside too. So that's a key identifying feature. Okay, so some of the key identifying features was that petal-like formation, the brown and gray color on top. It has a white or cream colored underside. It's got that pored underside. So remember, it does not have gills. It is a polypore mushroom. And it is also solid white flesh on the inside. So if you were to cut a maitake in half, you will see this solid white flesh. And that's just one of the reasons why it is a prize edible. When you get your hands on one of these and you actually get to like hold one and see one if you haven't before, you'll know. You're like, wow, this is a really dense, meaty mushroom. So it is a prized edible when you do find one. Now, I actually have a story of this mushroom right here. I'm just going to tell you a little story about this one I'm holding in the photo right here. If you notice, I'm wearing a hat. This was early November, actually, so late fall, and it was an extremely cold morning in Illinois when I found this mushroom. Okay, so that maitake mushroom, the story of that maitake, I'll tell you how I found that mushroom and all that good stuff. Basically, it was early November. For whatever reason, I was low on mushrooms on the farm. It was one of my first years farming. I think there was a crop failure of some sorts, or we had a problem with something. I just can't remember exactly what it was. But I do remember that night before looking at the weather, knowing it was going to be really cold, knowing I didn't have many mushrooms to sell. And then I was thinking, man, I just got to go out and see if I can find something that next day in the woods that I can hopefully sell. And I had my fingers crossed that I was going to find a maitake or a hen of the woods, because that's a substantially sized mushroom. And then I knew I'd have something I could sell to make some money. So anyway, I was like thinking, okay, I can go out this next morning and get it, hopefully. Temperatures got down to like 33, maybe even 32 that night. So I went out early as soon as the sun came up, man, and I was going and looking for that mushroom because I was thinking maybe if I get it quick enough, I can get it in. If it did freeze for whatever reason, I can get it inside and get it thawing, and it might be okay. If I find something, I didn't even know if I was going to find anything. So I walked through the woods for a while. I was probably walking for almost an hour, and I remember I just like went around this ridge and walked around this tree, and this tree was loaded with maitake. That big one was there, and then a couple other little ones there, and I was astonished, dude. First of all, I had never found a fruiting of maitake that large, so that was super cool. And I needed mushrooms so bad, so I was like, "This is a gift." So anyway, I took the photos, I picked the mushroom, and then I just remember walking back to where I had parked. Dude, I was so far too, and I had no gloves, and I just remember carrying all these mushrooms back. Dude, I was just holding them like this, and my fingers were so cold by the time I got back to the car. But I got that mushroom in the car, got it home, got it defrosting, and then I sold it all the next day at the farmer's market, and it was great. I was super happy. All my customers were super happy. They were like, "Dude, nice maitake." Everyone was stoked about it, and but that was the time the maitake had saved my day. And I'm gonna show you the first maitake I ever found. Okay, so here's a clip of the first one. All right, so here's actually the very first maitake mushroom I ever found. This was like in the baby stage. It's when it's called the fronds, I believe, when it's real small like this. Really good to eat even at this point if you don't let it grow. This is actually the same tree another year later, okay, because the maitake is a perennial fungus. I showed this photo a little earlier. And then here's another photo that I showed earlier that I have found this maitake mushroom on this same tree 3 different years in a row. Okay, and that's one thing I just want to establish. Just being a perennial fungus, you can find it on the same tree over and over again. So remember those maitake spots. All right, guys, so that was the first maitake I ever found. It was a cool find. I was just cruising around a park, saw some big oaks, and I was like, that might be a maitake spot. I got lucky, dude. I got out of the car, and I literally like walked right to it. It was like calling me. It really was. I'm not kidding. And so that was the first maitake I ever found. And you need to remember those spots because it is a perennial fungus. So it'll come back year after year after year until it just finally runs out of juice eventually. Eventually, it'll deplete the energy source, but it'll keep coming back for many, many, many years. So always check your maitake spots because more than likely you'll find them again and again. One thing I didn't touch on yet was the flavor of this mushroom. It is a prized edible fungus, and the flavor, it's just this deep, rich, earthy flavor. And it's got this deep, rich smell to it too. So the flavor and the smell, they kind of all go together. It's a great, great mushroom. When you see the texture of the flesh on this mushroom, you will understand, if you've never seen it before, why it's a prized edible. It's the texture of it is phenomenal as well. But hopefully you guys learned some stuff today. And if you already knew a lot about the maitake, I wish you good luck foraging this year, and I hope you guys all find many maitake. But I hope you found this video helpful and informative. But until next time, I will catch you on the next one.